Hi, I'm Coach Alyson Tshuma, Head Artistic Swimming Coach for UIW. We look forward to having another great season. Take flight. My name is Alyson Tshuma. I'm the Head Artistic Swimming Coach for UIW. I'm from the Bay Area, but I lived in a lot of different places growing up. I spent time in Alaska, Las Vegas, and then the Bay Area again. And I started artistic swimming when I was 8, and I had roughly a 20-year career. And I was privileged enough to swim for club, country, and university. And I got my bachelor's degree at Lindenwood University in human resource management and sports management. And then I went to Arizona State University for my master's, and I got my master's in social justice and human rights, something I'm very passionate about. And then I started coaching at actually the age of 16, just to help my mom pay the bills. And I always loved it. And my dream job has always been to be a head artistic swim coach in collegiate artistic swimming. And I stepped away from coaching for a bit to pursue my doctorate at Howard University. And then I got an email while I was over in South Africa from UIW asking me if I'd be willing to apply to the head artistic swimming coach position. And to me, that was just kind of the universe or higher power, just putting that in my path. Much earlier than I had anticipated, but I think you take the opportunity when it's presented to you. And so the process happened rather quickly, and my husband and I moved out to San Antonio, and it's been just really good to us ever since. Artistic swimming is a culmination of many different sports. So it is like gymnastics in the sense that you have the flexibility piece of it. You have the stunts, the flips, and things like that. And it's also like gymnastics in the way it is scored. So if Simone Biles is going to do a vault, depending on what that vault is, it's assigned a difficulty. And then the judges are then there to go ahead and give her an execution score. And then the combination of those scores is kind of how the overall ranking is determined. So that is kind of like us, but when we do a routine, a team routine, trio routine with 3 people, a team routines with 8 people, a duet or a solo, you may have over 100 of those moves that are assigned difficulty in a 3.5-minute routine. So therefore you have a certain amount of difficulty going in, and then the judges judge the execution of all those values, and then they judge the artistic impression of the routine. I will say you also kind of have the lungs of a swimmer. We use the same technique when we stay up in the water as water polo players. It's called egg beater. And then like cheer, we do a lot of stunts. So we're in the water, not using the bottom of the pool, but we are throwing people up into the air, doing baskets, a lot like cheerleading. So it's a combination of a lot of different sports, and you may spend hours on, let's say you have one move every single count of every single 8 count of a 3.5-minute routine. You may spend hours on one of those 8 counts. So it's very detail-oriented, very team-oriented, and everyone has to do their job, not only to be safe, but also for the entire performance to work. So last year for us started with a challenge. I think for all collegiate artistic swimming programs, the rules had changed. So from that perfect 10 that they used to give in gymnastics, right? Like this kind of elusive perfect 10, then they switched into the scoring that they now have, to where it's based off of difficulty and then the execution and the artistic impression. So we had to learn an entirely new scoring system last year, and that meant that you were just kind of flying blind, if I can, put it into those words. It was a lot of faith, a lot of trust, and a lot of just figuring things out and doing the best that we could. And everyone was in the same boat. So I think the team really came together for that, and we just trusted each other, had faith in the process. And I think overall, the culture that the team has created over the past few years has been really just vital to the success of the program. I do think that national championship was a byproduct of the culture and the environment that this team has created for themselves, just being very supportive of one another, and very respectful of that environment and putting that first. Yeah, for the MPSF, we had some really great swims, like very proud of a lot of those swims. Just not everything really lined up for us to win overall. But I also felt like there were some major milestones and confidence boosters in that competition as well. For the first time, UIW won the team event, which was massive. And I think overall, with the new scoring system, the team was really happy with how they did. Going into the national championship, I think we just, from the MPSF, we just trusted the process. Okay, we're doing the right thing. Let's keep going in the right direction, and let's just buckle down and push the gas pedal. So going into collegiate nationals, it was definitely, we pushed them to their limits and beyond, and they accepted the challenge and they showed up. The last day of collegiate nationals was, I don't know, it's kind of like I was definitely numb at that point. I think you're just thinking about that routine, and each routine as they come, and you're so nervous, and everyone is just, I think stressed is the right word. The athletes are stressed, we're stressed, right? The amount of perfection needed to get the score that you want to get, or to complete the routine penalty-free is quite immense. That I think once we found out that it was enough, that we had captured the championship, it was just, emotional. It didn't hit us probably until we got our rings a couple weeks ago, right? So post 6 months. I just remember waiting there for the scores, and there was a technical issue. So it was the last routine that we swam, and you're just waiting for the scores. And, a very intense moment became more intense just because they were having some issues pulling everything up. And then the scores came out, and the people in front of me, the girls in front of me, just screamed and just started crying, because we knew we needed a certain score to win. And I just remember walking towards the fans and in the audience, and seeing Richard Duran, our athletic director, there. And I just remember putting up number one, and basically taking the moment in, and recognizing, I think, for the following few months after that, really what that took. And I will say that I came to realize, we don't build champions here on this team, we build teams. And that has made all the difference for us. So our 4 C's, they are in our code of conduct as well, that the team needs to sign before they start practice every single year. But those 4 C's are character, community, commitment, and communication. So the character piece is basically, you need to leave this place better than you found it, and show up your best self every single day. As we know, we're not always going to show up in the best state, right? Not every day is the best day ever, but you need to give 100% of what you have in the tank to the team. And then the community piece, a lot of this team, over 75%, is international. But even so, if you're domestic, you're away from home. So we really need to be each other's family and each other's support system, no matter what. I think in these 4 years, you go through so much, right? There's just a lot of personal stuff that happens and a lot of professional stuff that happens. So being there for one another is extremely important. And then the communication piece, because we're extremely international. And I think overall as a society, this is a really big, important skill to have, is you need to flex your communication style depending on who you're talking to and depending on what their kind of communication style is. That's been like really important for us, and it's something we really work on every single year, and it's just a joy to see that whole process unfold. And then the last piece is the commitment piece. So obviously we train 20 hours in the water most of the season, or 20 hours overall most of the season. And then we also have the classes, right? They take anywhere from 4 to 6 classes per semester. And then a lot of them also have jobs or leadership positions on campus. And so just being a champion in every facet of their days is extremely important to us. You don't get to pick and choose when you're going to be a champion. You need to show up in all areas of life. Going into this year, I think we just kind of doubled down on our roots and our foundation, and just kind of asking ourselves what went well last season and what can we do better this season. 3 questions I really like to ask is, what do we need to do more of, do better, do different? And so coaches got together at the beginning of the year, asked those questions, had good conversations of how can we best move forward. But the team also gets together. They have weekly sessions with our sports psychologist, Dr. Santiago, who's been with the team for 15 plus years. And so they get together at the beginning of the year with her, and they come up with their own goals for the year. And that is the coach's job. That's all our job is getting them to accomplish those goals and preparing them for that. None of those goals has to do with the national championship. They never have. They never have to do with points, rankings, anything like that. They're really based off of how can we become the most successful possible? What does success look like to us? And so as we go into this year, obviously coming off of a national championship year, yes, we appreciate that moment and we respect that moment, but also it's a completely new year. Everyone has completely new teams. Everyone has had seniors leave, new recruits come in. So just doing the best with what we have, and enjoying every moment of the season. The team knows that when they come to practice every day, there's 2 expectations. One is that they're going to show up with joy. The second is that I'm going to hear them laugh during the practice at some point. So really focusing on that environment, and everything else will take care of itself. So this past August, the U.S. Olympic team got second in Paris. And so that was huge, I think, for the sport in general, but especially here in the U.S. I'm anticipating that that's going to help grow the sport, definitely at the youth level. And then hopefully through the years, we gain more support at the collegiate level. Right now, there's only 5 varsity teams, meaning there's only 5 collegiate artistic swimming teams that are supported financially by their institution. And so just really hoping that the Olympic Games and that kind of momentum grows the sport at the collegiate level in the next couple years. And also no other country has collegiate artistic swimming. So you either, practice on your national team or at your home club, but there's not really an opportunity to be a collegiate student athlete with the sport of artistic swimming in any other country other than the US. So I think that's huge in itself. And so really looking to expand varsity programs in the US. We have just a great mix of student athletes for the team this year. And they just showed up ready to work when they came back at the end of August. And this year, every routine, so I think we have several different routines, I'll say that, but they're completely unique to each other. And so you're going to see just a lot of different styles come out, I think, with the evolvement of the rules. I think you're going to see a lot more artistic impression come out. So we're really looking forward to that, because I know that's the team's favorite part. And I will say we have some really fun themes for the team routines, for every routine in general, but for the team routines, something very different and something very fun and upbeat. So looking forward to showing the audience that. And our first competition is actually at Stanford, and we're going to be competing, I would say, half of our routines there in January, and then our only home meet is February 8th and 9th, and so we'll be competing in San Antonio for that, and that'll be against the Ohio State University and Texas Women's University. MPSF will be in Boston this year, mid-February, and then we'll definitely have some exhibitions at the end of January, definitely have some more exhibitions mid-March before we head to Collegiate Nationals in Ypsilanti, Michigan. If anybody in the San Antonio community, wants to come out and watch our exhibitions, I just think that so many people have only seen this sport when it's on the Olympic Games every 4 years. And so I just encourage people to come check it out in person, see it live, and just feel that energy and appreciate the athleticism of the sport. And so, yeah, just stay tuned to our schedule and what's happening. And we look forward to seeing people at our home competition.